This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather, ho there, it's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And the radio for today is July 24th, 19... It's born July 24th, 1964. And this guy's now 60 years old, so he's getting close. Well, he is an American senior citizen, but not a Canadian citizen. He played 22 years in baseball. He was a left fielder for Pittsburgh from 1986 to 1992 and the Giants from 1993 to 2007, one of the greatest players of all time. He's won 7 MVPs, 12 Silver Sluggers, 14 All-Star Game selections, many MLB records, such as career home runs in a season, career walks. He actually won 8 Gold Gloves, which was weird because of his hitting exploits. He's gotten 500 plus stolen bases, making him the only player to go 500 home runs, 500 stolen bases, and has the career wins above replacement thing that Baseball Reference gives number 1 ahead of Babe Ruth. And he looks like he would be going to the Hall of Fame, but can I tell you that this is the same guy who freaking decided to juice himself for some strange reason? And, you know, his home run records are now in question. Everything's in question with this guy. You should know it is Barry Bonds. Born July 24th, 1964 in Riverside, California, he was born to a former Major League player himself, Bobby Bonds. And no, not a country music guy, whatever. Anyway, he looked pretty good. The Giants would draft Bonds in the second round of the 1982 MLB draft as a high school senior. But Bonds could not agree on terms. Bonds wanted to go pro for $75,000, but the Giants wanted to give him $70,000. So Bonds decided to go to college instead. So anyway, Bonds would attend Arizona State University, which was known for their college baseball prowess in the 70s and 80s, hitting 45 career home runs. He actually got 7 consecutive hits in the College World Series as a sophomore and was named to the all-time College World Series team in 1996. However, his Sun Devil teammates did not like Barry Bonds because he was rude, inconsiderate, and self-centered. The players wanted to vote against his return after a suspension for breaking curfew, even though he was the best player on the team. But Bonds graduated from Arizona State with a degree in criminology. So he knew what he could do. Then the 1985 MLB draft popped up, the year of my birth. It was a pretty good draft. Milwaukee took B.J. Surhoff, a catcher from North Carolina, first overall. He would be better with Baltimore. San Fran took Will Clark from Mississippi State, great first baseman who was a fantastic hitter for the Giants. Bobby Witt went third to Texas from Oklahoma. He was a good pitcher. Barry Larkin went fourth to Cincy from Michigan, shortstop, and Mr. Red, if you will. And the White Sox decided to take Kurt Brown, a catcher from California, a high school senior. It didn't work out. Next up was Pittsburgh, and they took Barry Bonds. So the White Sox could have had Barry Bonds. Subsequently, Milwaukee, San Fran, Texas, or Cincy could have had him too, while the Giants could have redrafted him. But the Brewers, Giants, and Reds made the right move. Texas, maybe. Anyway, this was the same draft in which Walt Weiss, Greg Jeffries, Rafi Pomero, and Joey Cora were in the first rounds. Regardless of that, you went through the Carolina League. Pittsburgh was going through a tough time baseball-wise. Fan attendance was low. There were under 10,000 per game for each game of the home schedule, as it seemed. Basically, Montreal Expo levels. There was a problem. There was an economic issue in Western Pennsylvania due to the steel industry going flat. And then the Pittsburgh drug trials of those players taking drugs and all that. They almost relocated to Denver. It was that bad. But Bonds would make his major league debut May 30th, 1986, leading rookies with home runs with 16, RBIs with 48. Finished 6th in Rookie of the Year. He was a center fielder, but then went to his comfortable left field once Andy Van Slyke came to Pittsburgh. Bonds would actually be the leadoff hitter in the early years and all that. So that was kind of weird and all of that. In his second season, he put up 25 round trippers. The Pirates would gain opening day marks of 54,000 people, which was far better. Bonds was now in a good lineup alongside Bobby Bonilla, Andy Van Slyke, and Jay Bell. There were rumors circulating that Pittsburgh would trade him to the Dodgers for John Wetland, but that didn't serve well. And that actually worked out for the Expos because they got Wetland in a trade with the Reds. Anyway, Bonds would be MVP in 1990, hitting 301, 33 homers, 114 RBIs, 52 steals. He would win a Gold Glove Award that same year and helped Pittsburgh get to the playoffs for the first time since 1979. However, the Pirates would sweep the Reds would sweep the Pirates in the NLCS and go on to the World Series. Bonds helped Pittsburgh out, getting 116 RBIs in 91, getting another Gold Glove and Silver Slugger, but would finish second in MVP voting to Terry Pendleton. There were rumors circulating that Bonds would be traded, and Pittsburgh was about to trade him to Atlanta for Alejandro Pena, Keith Mitchell, and a player to be named later. However, Jim Leyland opposed the trade, and the proposal was rescinded. That was actually shocking because, well, Pena and Mitchell would not be much for the 92 squad anyhow. Bonds would stay with Pittsburgh and win his second MVP that year, basically telling Pittsburgh, I'm really impressive and all that. 311 with 34 homers on 103 RBIs, helping Pittsburgh get to the NLCS for the third straight year. However, for the third straight year, they would end in disappointment. They lost in Game 7 of the NLCS in the famous Sid Slid game, in which Sid Bream, even though he was not a good runner, actually managed to beat Barry Bonds' throw to the plate for Mike LaFerriere to make the tag and keep the game tied. But yeah, Francisco Cabrera's hit, and then Bream went to the plate, but the throw was late, and Bream scored. There were rumors that Bonds would not stay with Pittsburgh due to the fact that his salary would be pretty much too high for Pittsburgh to keep him. And alongside Doug Drabek. Drabek went to Houston, and then Bonds had to go somewhere else. However, the fans and reporters in Pittsburgh did not like him. They gave him the most despised pirate award, if you will. So Bonds also, when it was Pittsburgh, would wear the batting things with his picture on it. It was his own picture. It was like, what the hell? Anyway, Bonds would find a team that accepted him. The San Francisco Giants signed him to a deal of 6 years, $43.75 million. Not per year, but total. That's equivalent to $92 million in today's dollars. Superstar players don't sign for less than $200 million nowadays. Regardless of that, he signed with the Giants because his father was a 7-year Giant. Bobby Bonds was. And with whom his godfather, Willie Mays, would play 22 of his 24 Major League seasons. It was a huge move and all that. Bonds wanted to wear number 24 because that was his Pittsburgh number. And Willie Mays gave his blessing, but the commotion from the fans became too much. Bonds decided to switch to number 25 for his father, Bobby. It was a huge moment because in 1993, before the 93 season, San Francisco was in a bit of financial distress. They almost moved to Toronto in 1976, which was well documented. And of course, thankfully, though, Toronto got a Major League expansion franchise because Ewing Kauffman's wife, Muriel, was a Toronto native and wanted her husband to have the value of Toronto being a baseball team. The Giants were in trouble. They almost moved to Tampa. Almost every franchise around would try to move to Tampa because of financial stuff, including the White Sox, who wanted a new stadium so much that they almost relocated to Tampa before they finally got a bill passed. Regardless of that, the Giants were in dire straits financially, and this would be a big move. It actually worked out quite well, as Bonds would bat 336 with 46 homers on 123 RBIs, gaining his third MVP award and his second in consecutively. The Giants won 103 games, which would be fantastic in many circles. But however, the Giants would fall flat to the Braves because the Braves won 104 games, and the Giants lost to the Dodgers on the final day. The worst part was the wild card was instituted for the 94 season, not the 93 season, so the Giants could not make the postseason. Bonds would hit 312 with 37 home runs and walk 74 times in the shortened season, finished fourth in MVP voting. Bonds would put up 33 home runs in 95. That didn't do so well. In 96, he actually became the first National Leaguer and second Major League player behind Jose Canseco to hit 40 home runs and steal 40 bases in the same season. The other members have been Jose Canseco, A-Rod, and Alfonso Soriano. Bonds put up 151 walks in the 96 season. In 97, he put up 40 home runs for the second straight year with 101 RBIs. And in 98, he was given an intentional walk with the bases loaded against Arizona, making him the fifth player to do so. After Deripo, Nat Lajoie, Dal Bissonnette, and Bill Nicholson were the other ones. Bonds became the first player ever to hit 400 home runs, 400 stolen bases in that 98 season. He put up 37 home runs on 122 RBIs. He would finish 8th in MVP voting because that was the year of Bond, McGwire, and Sosa. In 99, he actually was put on the 15-day DL for only the second time in his career. Injuries would nag him and all that. He put up 34 home runs, though, in 102 games, despite missing 2 full months. He was done pretty well and all that. So, anyway, in the 2000 season, he put up 49 home runs with 117 walks. Then in 2001, this was his best offensive year. He put up 28 home runs in the Giants' first 50 games of the season. And he got his 500th home run in that era against Terry Adams of the Dodgers. He would set the all-time mark with 39 home runs by the All-Star break. And at the end of the year, he drew 177 walks. His on-base percentage was good. And, of course, that was the year he hit 73 home runs to break McGwire's record. He set the record off of Chan-Ho Park on the Friday night of the last Friday of the baseball season. So, anyway, Bonds' 73rd home run was sold to Todd McFarlane for $450,000. It was just amazing what Bonds could do with the bat and all that. Of course, there's kind of controversy. Regardless of that, he re-signed with the Giants for a 5-year deal in 2002, winning the NL batting title with a 370 average, with 46 home runs this time. So anyway, he would hit a 600 home run in 2002 against Kip Wells of the Pirates. Bonds would help the Giants make the postseason and make the World Series against the Angels. He batted 322 with 8 home runs, 16 RBIs, including that massive home run in Game 6 that was supposed to rip the door open to the World Series for the Giants. But it didn't happen. In 2003, he played in only 130 games, but 45 home runs. He got his 500 stolen base off of Eric Gagne, which meant he was the first member and only member of the 500-500 club. 500 home runs, 500 walks. In 2004, he allegedly had his best season, batting 362 with his second NL batting title, and walked 232 times, more than half of them being intentional walks. He put up his 700th home run off Jake Peavy September of 2004. Well, he had 45 home runs, but he struck out only 41 times, making him one of the few major leaguers to actually hit more home runs than strikeouts in a season. Bonds in 2004 would again win the MVP, his fourth consecutive, and his seventh overall. No player has won more than 3 MVPs other than Bonds from either league. And at 40, Bonds became the oldest player to win an MVP. Willie Stargell was the previous holder, being co-MVP in 1979. Anyway, as Bonds was close to Aaron's 755 home runs, Aaron said he was a fan and admirer of Bonds and avoided the controversy regarding whether the record should have an asterisk for Bonds' steroid uses and all that. Aaron actually ended up, by 2007, not wanting to be at any record-breaking games for Bonds to break that record. 2005, he put up a $22 million salary. Unfortunately, he would be injured and all that. So anyway, Bonds tried his best. In 2006, he had a massive slump and all that. Bonds would now, on May 28th against Colorado, he got 715th home run to go number 2 on the career home run list, beating Babe Ruth off of Byung Kim 445 feet. So anyway, it was amazing what he could do. All that. Bonds in 2006. Try as you might, couldn't do it. But anyway, by 2007, Bonds was testing positive for amphetamines. And anyway, the results were leaked by the New York Daily News. It was supposed to be secret for the first positive test. Anyway, the Giants gave him a 1-year, $15.8 million contract. And then he wanted that home run record so badly and all that. A Dallas-based auction house offered $1 million to the fan who would catch Bonds' 756 home run. Unfortunately, fan safety meant that the offer was rescinded. So anyway, on August 7, 2007, at 8:51 Pacific or 11:51 Eastern Time, at AT&T Park in San Francisco, Bonds would hit a home run off Mike Bassick of the Nationals, 435 feet, finally breaking the home run record. Ironically, Mike Bassick's father actually faced Hank Aaron as a player. And Bonds would give an autograph back to Mike Bassick. The fan who ended up with the ball was 22-year-old Matt Murphy from Queens and a Mets fan. He was protected and escorted away from the mayhem by police officers. So, anyway, Bonds had his godfather Willie Mays by his side. All that. So, lots of records and all that. The record-setting ball went to an auction house, and after a 3-phase online auction, it was won by with $750,000. The high bidder was Mark Echo, a fashion designer. The voters wanted Echo to brand the ball with an asterisk and send it to the Baseball Hall of Fame and all of that. Regardless of that, Bonds would at 276 with 28 home runs, 66 RBIs. And this is from a 43-year-old. Anyway, the Giants confirmed they would not re-sign Bonds for the 2008 season, and Bonds would file for free agency. A lot of people were like, where's Bonds going to play? Well, he didn't play for anybody. He was 65 hits away from 3,000, which would have been up his range. He needed 4 RBIs to hit 2,000 and 38 home runs to reach 800. Needing 69 runs to move past Ricky Anderson as runs champion. But nobody signed him and all that. Unfortunately, Bonds would be given 2 years of probation and 250 hours of community service in December 2011 for obstruction of justice because of his grand jury testimony in 2003. Barry Bonds would become the hitting coach of the Marlins for one season and became a special advisor to the CEO of the Giants. They retired as number 25 in August of 2018. Of course, the Baseball Hall of Fame consideration, his highest percentage was 66%. He needed 75% to make the Hall of Fame. He's still eligible through the Today's Game committee and all that. Anyway, his public persona made him difficult, surly, standoffish, and ungrateful to a lot of people. Of course, Bonds will always be in direct connection with Balco because of the amphetamines and this clear substance known as the cream and all that. So Bonds did a lot of things going and all that. Bonds actually withdrew from the MLBPA licensing agreement, so that independent marketing deals could be better for him. So he was the first player not to sign of that. Because of that, his name and likeness could not be used in any merchandise licensed by the MLBPA and does not appear in baseball video games, making generic athletes as replacements. And of course, the replacements tended to be white and sometimes had different handedness, which was done likely to avoid likeness lawsuits from Bonds. Because the famous one from MVP 2005, game I played the crap out of, was John Dowd, which was an investigator for Pete Rose. But regardless of that, I created Barry Bonds and all that, put him on the team. So yeah, it's a surprise that the MLBPA didn't force him out. He forced himself out instead. Bonds married and had 2 children with the first mother. He met Suzanne Branco in Montreal, the mother of the 2 children, Nikolai and Shakiri. They would separate and divorce by 1994, and their marriage was annulled by the Catholic Church. Anyway, that's weird and all that. Nikolai, who was Bond's son and served as the Giants' bat boy during his father's years playing in San Francisco, was charged with 5 misdemeanors of confrontation. Bonds would start a relationship with a Arizona graphic designer that lasted until 2003. But he married his second wife, Liz, in January 1998. And had 10.5 years of marriage before irreconcilable differences broke it up and all that. Anyway, Barry Bonds' younger brother, Bobby Bonds Jr., was a pro baseball player, but I don't think he went to the majors. His paternal aunt, Rosie Bonds, was a former American record holder in hurdles and was part of the 1964 Olympics team. And he's actually a distant cousin of Reggie Jackson. Bonds was an avid cyclist because it could keep him in shape and with great passion and all that. He said he lost 25 pounds. So cycling and all that. So anyway, Bonds holds the records for home runs, walks, and intentional walks ever. And it's done quite well. So yeah, home runs in a season 73 in 2001, home runs in a career 762, home runs after 40 years old 74. Most consecutive seasons with 30 plus home runs 13 from 92 to 2004. Walks in a career, walks in a season 232 in 2004. MVP award 7, which he won in 90, 92, 93, and then from 2001 to 2004. Oldest player to win a batting title for the first time at age 38. Yeah, lots of achievements and all that. So yeah, he has a lot of records and all that. So yeah, Barry Bonds, controversial as he is. Sorry about that. Controversial as he was. It just meant that he was just one hell of a good player, I guess. Anyway, I'm trapped. I'm gonna do.